Well, one thing is that you have to remember is that not every employee is the same. So what works for one may not work for the other. So one of the main things I do is to get to know my staff, and figure out what kind of communication works for them. What seems to stimulate them, what seems to motivate them. And that's the best way to keep employees happy and keep them satisfied. You can come up with all kinds of different incentives and things like that, but if that doesn't really appeal to that employee, then it's not going to cause them to, grow in their job. It's not going to cause them to develop. And sometimes employees start one place, but have a passion for something else. So my job as the manager is to make sure that I can figure that out. I can talk to them and understand where they're coming from, and then help them along that career path, whether it's in dining or whether it's outside of the dining department. How can you fix high turnover rates? I don't know that there is a fix to high turnover rates. People like what they like. People, what I have found is that sometimes students have one perception of what the job will be like, and then when they get here, it's completely different than maybe what they thought. So I think that it's always up to the company to create a culture. And I think that's what we try to do here at Erickson and at Riderwood, is to create a culture, with our value system. So for me, if a person possesses those values that we, live by every day, then I think they'll be here for long periods of time, and they'll grow in the company. If a person doesn't possess those values, then this is probably not the best place for them. So I think at that point, you look at turnover, it can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing, but I don't think that there's one specific thing. I think that you strive every day to make sure employees are happy, residents are happy, and I think they gel together, and people, will stay because of that. But I think when you've found that area of growth for you, people tend to move on, and sometimes it's for the good and sometimes it's for the bad.
Usually the issues that we have sometimes is that, like we all know, most of our servers here are high school employees. They're coming from schools in the area. So the biggest challenges we have is when they're going to college. After working here for years and years and years, they have to go away for college. And usually it's not just one person. We have scholarships here, and when we do scholarships, it can go from 20 to 40 to 50 people receiving that scholarship because they're going away for college. So around that time, we have issues with employee turnover. So usually it takes us a while to actually go ahead and hire and train back those employees. So it takes long. So the only issue I have is during when it's back to school time, we have those issues with employee turnover. One thing that I do with my employees is that I try to involve them in everything that I do. If there's a change that's gonna happen, whether it's with their job, their side job, the way the sections are done, what I do is sometimes I always ask them for their opinion. They give me their own reasons why certain thing wouldn't work or why it should work, and I try to consider it all the time. But at the same time, we have to realize that we're running a business. So, but still, the best way for me that I think work for my employees is that I always ask for the input, and I do consider the input. So I've actually tried to cultivate that culture into them, and to make sure that they take ownership of their work and they're held accountable for their work, so that even if I'm not here in the kitchen, maybe I'm in the front, the expectations are met. They still do what they gotta do. So involving them in everything that I do is what really keeps them motivated, and they show it when they can come here and say, you know what, the food today, I don't think that this is going to work for the food today. I'm suggesting that maybe we should use this because it's going to work. So those are the type of feedback that I like from them, being involved in decision making.